Pie charts are similar, but there's a few differences on a pie chart. So we just looked at doing bar charts, and now you're going to use a different way with the same data. I want to chart the same data, but I want to do it differently. So we're just going to now do a pie chart, and pie chart, hopefully you all know what a pie chart is. And let's see, you get a circle. That is not a circle, not even remotely a circle. Circle-esque. Yeah, I can't draw a circle. Okay, close enough. Thank you for fixing my thing there. And we're going to plot the similar data. It's just going to be in a different way. It's a different, and it could potentially be a more useful way. Some data is actually better on pie charts. But let's say we have the black population. So here's my center, and that would be some values there, or actually, yeah, black. And then Hispanic population was a little bit bigger. And then we had the white population, which was like more than half. And then we had the Asian population, which is also pretty big comparatively. And then we had the other population. So it would look something like that, right? And to do this, again, we're going to go to matplotlib for library. And we're going to kind of use the same values, right? The labels were our x-axis from our chart up here, and our values, 3, 5, I think that was 6, this was 57, and that was 30, would have that same data that we used from the previous chart happening right here as well. But we're just displaying it into a different format. But the data is really the same, and we're going to have the same kind of lists, right? I'm redrawing the list with a slightly different name. So for example, we'd have black, Hispanic, white, Asian, etc. And then we have some values. And the values, again, 4, 6, they would literally match their categories just like we did above. I mean, really, it's the same exact data for drawing a pie chart, but we're going to do it using a different function. Up here, we used plot.bar CV. And I'm just abbreviating because I don't have any room to type it. Now let's take a look at how we would do it for a pie chart. So I already have my plot thing in here, but just to reiterate it, just as a clean thing here, I have my plot again. And I already have some categories in here, but I'm going to do the actual names of categories. So black, Hispanic, white, Asian, other. Those are the categories we want to use this time. And then for values, it was 4, 6, 57, 30, and 3. So now I have my two lists. And for a pie chart, it's .pie. Now, previously, we did x comma y, right? That's what we did for the bar chart. X-axis, y-axis. And that would mean I would do something like categories and values. However, that's not how the pie chart works. The values, the y-axis goes first. And there's something else that actually happens here, and we're going to look at it in a second, but the word labels goes in here with an equal sign. And we'll talk a little bit more about it in a minute. But this labels this takes the categories array that we created. So pi.values labels equals categories. And let's see, what did I mess up? Values, oops, I misspelled my values. And again, don't worry about that data. That's just how matplotlib keeps track of the data internally, but now we show it. And now we get our pie chart. And there are ways, in fact, it's actually a kind of confusing way, but there are ways to get the values inside of there. And you can always look up on how to do that. I'll show you in a second. There's a thing you have to do. But similar to last time, we can, let's see, let's reload and then plot.py, oops, not pi, plot.title, diversity of people in tech companies. And plot, no, it's not plot, actually. Let me reload this. There's actually a thing in here called auto PCT for percent. And this is just called a format string. I don't want to go too much into it, but that's going to put the labels, the numbers as labels. Now we put my title. And now I show it. And you can see I have my title. And I don't really like that color at all, but you can see it put the percents in there. And that's what that 1.1f. That 1 point said how much on the left, how much after the period, and then a percent sign. I could get rid of the percent sign by modifying, where did I go? Right here. That was the line right there for doing one decimal place. You can get rid of the decimal place by removing that. And there's the percent sign that got printed. And it goes inside of those percents to figure that out. But you can see here, we got our plot, we got our title, and now we have all our numbers showing here. And so that's what this is. We have 50% white, 6% Hispanic, 4% Black, 3% other, and 30% Asian. So now we had plot.bar, now we have plot.py, but it takes the values first, and then it takes the labels equals categories. Or you could also do auto percent equals percent 1.1f with a floating point number with a percent sign. That would actually give you the numbers inside. And then regardless of which one you use, you still have to use show to make sure it shows up. Okay, any quick questions on how to do the bar chart? We'll talk a little bit more about this labels things in a second. It's actually going to come up in a minute. It's called a named argument. There's a lot of arguments. Only the first one is required. The others have default values. In fact, I don't know if you saw this down here. It's if I type plot.py and it brings up this list down here in this yellow, it's telling you what are the parameters, some of the arguments. And X is required, but all of these others have values, which means they're called default values. And the one that we used was actually the third parameter, but I don't want to put in the second parameter. I actually, by the way, if you want to know more about these, just Google the pie chart. Some of these are actually kind of cool. But those labels, which is the third parameter, I don't want to put the second one in there. So by naming the argument and giving it a value, it actually fills in the labels with those categories. So that's what's happening with the named argument.